Let's discuss solving equations using addition and subtraction. These three steps you see right here are just my steps for solving equations. There's nothing technical about them, and they probably look, or hopefully look, very familiar to you. But when we're given an equation, okay, and again, equation has an equal sign, we're going to ask ourselves these three questions, whether we're solving equations using addition, subtraction, or multiplication and division, but just basic equations. Question number one says, what are you solving for? And the answer is always the unknown, the variable. Okay. In an equation, there's some things we know and there's some things we don't. So the unknown we call the variable. So x, p, m, whatever we use. After we've identified what we're solving for, then we have to say, what do we have to get rid of? Notice it's in quotes here. Well, we're always going to get rid of the number with the variable. And what I mean by number with the variable is it's a number on the same side of the equal sign. Okay, so I'll just put same side of equal sign. Because our goal is to get a variable all by itself on one side of the equal sign. And then step 3 says, how do you get rid of it? Well, we get rid of it using inverse operations. Now, inverse operations are just operations that undo each other. If I had a number, we'll just call it x. If I added 5 to x, how would I undo this adding 5? Well, I'd subtract 5. If I was subtracting 13, how would I undo subtracting 13? Well, I'd add 13. Okay, so inverse operations are kind of like opposite operations. And in this lesson, we're going to be doing addition and subtraction. Okay, in the future, obviously multiplication and division are inverse operations. Let's look at a couple examples. Look at the first one here. We have x minus 9 equals a negative 17. Let's focus on that one. Go back to your 3 steps. What are you solving for? Well, I'm solving for the x. We want to get x all by itself. So what do we have to get rid of? Well, what number is with the x? What number is on the same side of the equal sign as the x? The 9 is. So we need to get rid of the 9. How do we get rid of it? That's question number 3, is we use our inverse operations. Notice this is subtraction, so we add. It's really important, ladies and gentlemen, notice how I put the adding 9 right underneath the 9. When we get into multi-step equations, we want to be very organized about solving equations. So right under the minus 9, I want you to put plus 9. Now again, this equal side keeps this side and this side in balance. It means this side equals this side. So if I add 9 to this side, I've thrown it out of balance. I have to make sure I add 9 to the other side. We're not adding it to every term, we're adding it to each side. Draw a line underneath, and then we can bring everything straight down. We can bring our x down. Notice that if you minus 9 and add 9, you get 0. That's what we want. You don't have to write the 0. You just cross it out, bring down your equal sign, and then you can go negative 17 plus 9. Keep in mind, you might be very familiar with solving equations, but we're going to be working with more negatives. Okay, so you have to be careful. Negative 17 plus 9 is going to be a negative 8. Okay? If you want to know if you're right, plug it back in. If I stick a negative 8 in here, what is negative 8 minus 9? Does that equal a negative 17? And if you test that, yes it does. Here's a cool thing about equations. You know if you did it right. If you take what you get for the variable and plug it back in, you can test and see if you have the right answer. Now I want to show you one more thing real quick with this problem. A lot of times people like to rewrite this as addition, and you can definitely do that. Keep your x, change a minus to a plus, change your 9 into a negative 9. Okay, these two things are equivalent expressions here. They mean the same thing. So if we wanted to solve this equation, changing your subtraction to addition, what are we solving for? X. What do we have to get rid of? Negative 9. How do we get rid of it? If you think of this in terms of being a negative 9, you don't think so much as adding and subtracting. You think, what are you going to do to negative 9 to make it go away? What's the opposite of a negative 9? A positive 9. Okay? Because what happens is negative 9, positive 9 are opposites, and opposites add to 0. You can think of it going down 9 on the number line and then coming back 9, they're at 0. Any way you look at it, these still cancel out. And whatever we do to one side of the equal sign, we do to the other. So whether you think of this as being a subtraction problem or an addition problem, you're still going to get the same answer. Just focus on how we're getting rid of that number. Let's look at the second example here. We have negative 11 equals n minus a negative 2. Here's a piece of advice. Whenever you see minus a negative, change it. This is pretty ugly looking and it can get confusing, but watch what happens if we apply our keep, change, or we change our subtraction to addition. We have our negative 11 equals, keep the n, change the minus to a plus, change negative 2 to a positive 2. By doing that, it makes it a pretty simple equation. So what are we solving for? Our n. What do we have to get rid of? Well, what number's on the same side of the equal sign? The 2. How do we get rid of the 2? You can think of it in two ways. Think of it as plus 2, so we do a minus 2, or notice that this 2 is positive, so we can combine a negative 2 with it. Whatever you do to one side of the equal sign, you do to the other. Over here, what this means, you can either think of this as negative 11 minus 2, negative 11 plus a negative 2. However you want to think of it, you should come up with a negative 13 equals n. These cancel out because they're opposites of each other. Okay, and if you would like to rewrite this as n equals a negative 13, that's fine. Okay, because I know a lot of times we're comfortable with our n on the left side. If you want to know if you're right, take this negative 13 and plug it back in for n. Negative 11, is that equal to negative 13 minus a negative 2? Okay, it's a quick, easy check on your calculator. Okay, or even if you put it in right here, negative 13 plus 2. Either way you do it, you will come up with that it equals negative 11. So when you're solving equations, ladies and gentlemen, focus on how we're using our inverse operations to get rid of that extra number, and it's always a good idea to do a quick check to make sure you get your answer right.